What balderdash? What kind of a fairy tale world does Oberon think we live in? You work for your daily bread, or you starve, and there's an end to it. Holidays indeed. They are the prerogative of potentates, not proletarians. Ludicrous! Who's going to pay for all these holidays? Pay so that a man can provide for his family as he sits on his lazy arse? Me, that's who. And every employer with me. Absurd. Very good, Commander. There's an end to this nonsense. I can't even remember the last time I had a day off. Not since my summer cruise, I think. Or was it the 2 weeks winter resort in my country estate?
Commander, I've pressed for unions. I've pressed for ecological measures. But at one point or another, you've always blocked my proposals. So let me reiterate how highly we elves esteem the happiness of our populace. They deserve something in return for all the hard work they do for the good of the Empire. As it stands, they work 6 days a week, but I think that they should be able to have prolonged holidays. An entire month, in fact, to be spent at their leisure. Commander, I've pressed for unions. I've pressed for ecological measures. But at one point or another, you've always blocked my proposals. So let me reiterate how highly we elves esteem the happiness of our populace. They deserve something in return for all the hard work they do for the good of the Empire. As it stands, they work 6 days a week. But I think that they should be able to have prolonged holidays. An entire month, in fact, to be spent at their leisure. People will dance in the streets when they hear the news, Commander. To protect an overlord of your caliber, our soldiers will defend our realm with renewed zeal, of that you may be certain. Commander, I've pressed for unions. I've pressed for ecological measures. But at one point or another, you've always blocked my proposals. So let me reiterate, as I have done before, how highly we elves esteem the happiness of our populace. They deserve something in return for all the hard work they do for the good of the Empire. As it stands, they work 6 days a week. But I think that they should be able to have prolonged holidays. An entire month, in fact, to be spent at their leisure. It is easy for us nobility to deny the common folk leisure time, Commander. But how would you feel if the only thing you do is work, work, work? It takes effort to raise morale, you know. Too bad you don't seem to realize this.
Goodness gracious me, Commander. A whole month without working? The amount of boredom would be lethal. No, no, no. I'll have none of those vile holidays. You're crazy, Commander. Nutty as a fruitcake. This will spell us a massacre among imps. They'll be bored to death by the dozens. Another catastrophe avoided. Thanks, Commander. By the by, that 7th day of the week will work then as well. No problem whatsoever for us imps.
Holidays are a luxury we cannot afford, Commander. Everyone can have a year's leave after we've won the war, for all I care, but right now every man and woman in the nation should work for victory. A nation at war needs to be run like an ant colony, Commander. You don't see ants take time off to sit in the sun and gaze at a lake. If they do, they might find their nest pillaged by termites upon their return. Right you are, Commander. This is not a time for idleness, but for action. The creation of peace is a laborious process in which we must all partake without faltering.
The 7 scriptures are clear, Commander. 6 days shall you work, and on the 7th you shall relinquish your labor and pray to the gods. Nowhere does it say go ahead and wallow in sickening slothfulness for a month. I recommend a more thorough reading of the 7 scriptures, Commander, for clearly your grasp of their message is distinctly fallible. Very good, Commander. After all, between work and prayer, what else does one need?
Typical elven wishy-washy nonsense. Unions, indeed. Nothing but organised trouble, led by work-shy ne'er-do-wells. Don't you fall for Oberon's tricks, Commander. Just fantastic. Another bloody nuisance to deal with. But if any of those deadbeats dare to strike in any of my mills, I'll set the dogs on them and shout, "Go for their necks!" Good show, Commander. Our labourers have more than enough rights as it is. The right to work and hold their tongues, for instance. The right to be glad with the wages they get.
Commander, if we elves think something is of supreme importance, it is the happiness of all people. For those with rejoicing hearts do no evil and look upon the world with kindness. We also believe they will fight harder for their country if pressed. For a new overlord may not hold their welfare in high regard. Clearly, this will benefit you in times of need. So, how can we increase the happiness of a huge part of your citizenry? By allowing them to form unions so they can stand up for themselves better. What do you say, Commander? If we elves think something is of supreme importance, it is the happiness of all people. For those with rejoicing hearts do no evil and look upon the world with kindness. We also believe they will fight harder for their country if pressed. For a new overlord may not hold their welfare in high regard. Clearly, this will benefit you in times of need. So, how can we increase the happiness of a huge part of your citizenry? By allowing them to form unions, so they can stand up for themselves better. What do you say? A triumph for the laborer. Let our enemies assail our lands now. People will fight for the liberties they have been granted, for they know slavery awaits if they do not. This would have been the first step towards the betterment of your fellow man, Commander. Needless to say, I am sorely disappointed, as every other elf in the realm will be.
Frightfully bad idea, Commander. You allow unions, and before you know it, concerns about working conditions are raised. They'll shut down every arms factory we own. Won't make us imps any happier, that. Commander, such folly! You'll find out soon enough that if you give the riffraff a voice, it will only be used to carp, curse, and complain. Dodged a bullet there, Commander. Union folk are like annoying brats, you know. Never content with what they have, and when you give them a good slap, 10 of their number come running howling like banshees.
It's not that the idea of unions offends me, Commander, but in times of war we just cannot afford the side effect unions tend to bring about. Strikes, protests, you know the sort of thing. No, I advise against Oberon's proposal. Fine, throw caution to the wind. But will you still feel the same when the ammunition loaders rise in protest on the very day you want to invade another province? Very good, Commander. Unions tend to be run by small-minded people, and in these times of chaos we need people who can see the bigger picture.
Unions? What blasphemy! People shouldn't emancipate themselves in factories. They should prostrate themselves before the gods in the seven glorious temples. Let the people organize and they'll suddenly make all sorts of silly demands. Advocate not happiness, Commander, but humility. Oh, damn it, Commander, only heathens join those filthy unions. They'll complain about donations to the Church of the Seven next. Is every 3 gold coins for every 10 they make really too much to ask? Very wise of you, Commander. Humble people do not question. They accept. And the Seven love them for it.
There we go. There we have it. The rat's out of the cage, and it's biting at every ankle it can find. Who do these workmen think they are? Princes of the realm? We pay them more than they're worth already. Enact this outrage, Commander, and you'll turn every labourer into a lord of the manor. And if there's something lords of the manor detest, it's bloody labour. Good show, Commander. Keep a rat in its cage, and it's happy with the scraps it gets. Let it out, and it'll make for the kitchens, especially union rats.
Commander, thanks to your generous approval, the unions we elves sought to found have indeed been created. As true spokesmen for their fellows, union men have been quite vocal in their struggle to increase working conditions and the general standards of life. Their greatest complaint is that very many labourers receive only the most minimal of wages, and I think it is only fair to copiously increase them. For remember, Commander, defend the populace's prosperity and happiness, and they in turn will defend your empire valiantly in its hour of need. Commander, thanks to your generous approval, the unions we elves sought to found have indeed been created. As true spokesmen for their fellows, union men have been quite vocal in their struggle to increase working conditions and the general standards of life. Their greatest complaint is that very many labourers receive only the most minimal of wages, and I think it is only fair to copiously increase them. For remember, Commander, defend the populace's prosperity and happiness, and they in turn will defend your empire valiantly in its hour of need. Bravo, Commander! And believe me, the extra cost your kingdom will incur shall pale in comparison with the boost to morale extra wages will give the people. You gravely disappoint, Commander. Your support of the unions turns out to be a formality, for when the time comes to turn words into deeds, your generosity is suddenly found to be lacking.
Cannon-shaped custard, Commander. This is a bit rich, isn't it? There's millions of labourers in the land. Give them more than their daily copper and they'll drain the cabinet's coffers in no time. Dear me, I do hope you know what you're doing, Commander. Shower the plebs with prosperity and their masters will become paupers. You're turning the tables just like that, but I liked my seating arrangements as it was, thank you very much. Attaboy, Commander. Funny how it's the elves of all people who try to upset the natural order. There's lord and there's labourer, just like there's lion and antelope, and there always will be.
I'll restate my previous opposition to Oberon's line of proposals, Commander. In times of peace, they would perhaps be quite proper, but during these times of war, they are no more than frivolous. Commander, you know me to be a wise woman, and it is therefore highly insulting that you would turn down my advice iterated twice in a row. My concern is the good of the Empire, which should be yours as well. Well done, Commander. I know we are asking a lot from our populace as it is, but their reward will be the greater the day peace finally comes. Probably.
Didn't I warn you, Commander? I told you that Union filth would make all sorts of silly demands. Wealth leads to indulgence, a wicked vice indeed. Once again the elves impose their vices on society, and once again you follow suit. Does it not irk you, Commander, to disappoint time after time? Very good, Commander. Wealth should be like what passes for wisdom among lizards. The prerogative of the unhappy few who haven't the seven in their hearts.
So, first these workers want to earn more wages, and when they get them, they want to work less hours, yet maintain the increase. This is utter madness. Balderdash! You've aligned yourself with the elves too many times, Commander, for Dwarven trust to keep. You can grow a bushy beard, drink barrels worth of beer, and belch the ballad of Brimstoke, but we'll still smell the elf stink on you. Dwarven will may be stronger than the proverbial camel's back, Commander, but this last straw might have broken it nonetheless. Thank heavens you decided against it.
Commander, under your rule, workers are finally treated with respect. There are unions. There has been an increase in wages. But at the end of the day, they still labor like slaves from dawn till dusk. This must be remedied. I therefore propose we institute the 8-hour day, which includes a proper break for lunch. I trust I needn't repeat what wonders this will work regarding your populace's happiness and the enjoyment of their lives. Think how hard they'll fight on your behalf to defend their liberties. Commander, under your rule, workers are finally treated with respect. There are unions. There has been an increase in wages. But at the end of the day, they still labor like slaves from dawn till dusk. This must be remedied. I therefore propose we institute the 8-hour day, which includes a proper break for lunch. I trust I needn't repeat what wonders this will work regarding your populace's happiness and enjoyments of life. Think how hard they'll fight on your behalf to defend their liberties. Commander, all we elves have tried to accomplish is the increase in happiness of all your subjects. For it bears repeating that those with rejoicing hearts do no evil and look upon the world with kindness. You have helped us with every step along the way, and I thank you in the name of every laborer in the realm. A worthy emperor you are indeed. Commander, if you're paying people well to work like slaves, that just means you have the cold hard cash to indulge in slavery, and you are in fact quite willing to do so. How distasteful, and how very, very disappointing.
What hokum! Imps like to work from dawn till dusk. Just because the elves are lazy buggers doesn't mean we should be punished with extra leisure time. Madness! If you're going to force us imps to have time off, to relax and unwind instead of working round the clock, you'll have riots on your hand, Commander. And there's an end to all that nonsense. 8-hour days indeed. They'll want holidays next.
So once more, Oberon proposes measures that might jeopardize the war effort during times of war. Oh, here's hoping the third time I warn you will be the charm, Commander. Do not listen to the elf. Really, Commander, why am I even here? Why are any of us here except Oberon? You'll follow his every advice blindly, even though you're bound to stumble and fall. With each passing decision, the chances of us being there to help you back up are dwindling considerably. Wisdom prevails in the end. We all work tirelessly to resurrect the peace. We lead by example. There will be time to lay down our burdens when every last war machine has been destroyed.
First you allowed people to aspire wealth, the vice that leads to indulgence, and now the elves would add idleness to the list of sins. Idle hands make for the devil's tools, Commander, not the Seven's. Unions, indulgence, idleness. Reform by reform, you are tearing down the fabric of the Seven Society. The elves misunderstand the gods. Happiness is not to be happy. It is to be subservient to the divines. Elves would say it is the war machines we are constructing that are the true devil's tools, Commander, but they are heathen pacifists. War is a noble cause when you fight it for the Seven. For in its fires, souls are cleansed and sinners extinguished.
Oberon can sit there and weep over a couple of dead trees and dead fish all day long if he wants, but in the meantime, we have a war to win, and the last thing we need is inflated production costs. I can't believe you're willing to pay through the nose for the sake of some shrubberies or whatever they call all that green stuff. There's a bloody lot of it out there, Commander. No one cares about a couple of square miles all shot to hell. Well done, Commander, and I hope that's the last we hear about all that ecology rot. The air we breathe is free, but war machines, not quite.
Commander, I know full well we need all of Maxos's strange new technologies to win the war, but their production is putting too great a strain on the environment. If, however, our war machines could be fabricated with environmentally responsible building materials, we may actually leave behind a world that was worth fighting for. Yes, this would increase production costs, but I'm also convinced these materials will improve the strength and efficacy of our vehicles. Commander, I know full well we need all of Maxos's strange new technologies to win the war, but their production is putting too great a strain on the environment. If, however, our war machines could be fabricated with environmentally responsible building materials, we may actually leave behind a world that was worth fighting for. Yes, this would increase production costs, but I'm also convinced these materials will improve the strength and efficacy of our vehicles. In the name of the Green Mother, I thank you, Commander. Imps, dwarfs, wizards, sometimes they don't seem to care a jot for the beauty of nature, but at least you, the dragon, do. Better to look down upon rolling green fields as you cross the skies, rather than blackened wastes, isn't it, Commander? Curses, Commander! Once more, our Green Mother must forfeit much-needed protection because safeguarding her well-being means we'd have to pull at the purse strings. Money. It's a plague upon mankind.
Oberon's mad, Commander. New materials, new this, new that. It would cost a great deal of time and money to set it all up. And am I the only one who thinks a landscape filled with smoking factory chimneys and raging fires of industry is so much more beautiful than boring old woodlands and hills? Oh yes, go ahead and listen to the elf. He'll have you ground all our airships next because a couple of birds got sucked into an engine. Damned pointy-eared know-it-all. Splendid, Commander. Our technology may cut through flora and fauna like a hot knife through butter, but I'll be damned if it's not fun to look on when it does.
I don't think ecology should be our prime concern at this time, Commander. It will take decades to undo the harm all these war machines have caused, but let us deal with these matters in times of peace. It would have been wiser to spend such considerable sums elsewhere, Commander, but I can but advise, not make your decisions for you. Oberon has a knack for proposing sound measures at a completely wrong time, Commander. I'm glad you two have come to this realization.
I feel at home, Commander, in a landscape of barren rock. endless forests of dead trees. Our industry is doing its best to turn the world into an undead vision. So may the Seven damn Oberon and damn his idiotic ideas. If you have that much gold to waste on ecological war machines, whatever those are, you may want to make a few donations to the Church of the Seven. Then at least it will be well spent. Wonderful, Commander. Infinitely champion industry, I say, and one day the entire world will resemble a graveyard and be complete.
Nationalization? Oberon is running a fever, Commander. Don't you heed his delusions. Take business out of private hands, and you'll end up with state-produced claptrap devoid of imagination. An increase in quality? I doubt that very much. This is madness! You're ruining private businesses! Didn't your precious war machines function as they should? I alone stand to lose 30 factories. Regular gold mines they are. Quick, a beer afore I get lightheaded. Wonderful, Commander. I knew you'd be too sensible. Why, you'd have crippled Dwarven economy, and those who do, well, we cripple them.
Commander, working with environmentally responsible building materials is having the positive effect we had foreseen. We know very well, though, that this evolution came at big costs, so I've been racking my brain, thinking of how to reduce them. Finally, I have found the answer. The nationalization of industry. All these privately run factories, all these suppliers, they are letting profits flow to their own pockets, and they deliver rather shabby products as a result. Enough, I say. Let the state control industry, and quality will increase, whereas production costs will decrease once more. Commander, working with environmentally responsible building materials is having the positive effect we had foreseen. We know very well, though, that this evolution came at big costs, so I've been racking my brain, thinking of how to reduce them. Finally, I have found the answer. The nationalization of industry. All these privately run factories, all these suppliers, they are letting profits flow to their own pockets, and they deliver rather shabby productions as a result. Enough, I say. Let the state control industry, and quality will increase, whereas production costs will decrease once more. Fabulous, Commander. We shall clear the waters of industry of the sharks that befoul them. We will appoint inspectors, directors, commissars. We shall exert strict government control, and before you know it, you'll be leading engines of war into battle, better and more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Commander, you're letting the Sir Silverveins of this world spread their corpulent and corrupt influence. Why you would do so is beyond me. They stuff their pockets, exploit their workers, and saddle us with second-rate machines. They profit from the war and care not for peace.
Stupid elf. Send directors to inspect our factories? I think not, Commander. Imp industry is the imp's business. Believe me, it's for the best. You don't want to know what's going on behind those doors. But the anarchy, the experiments, the breach of all the laws of non-imp ethics, all will come to light. They won't nationalize us, they'll close us down. Dodged the bullet there, we did. Just let us deliver our goods and don't ask any questions. You like a good shepherd's pie, don't you, Commander? But you don't want to see how it's made.
For the state to usurp private property would be a serious breach of its sovereign rights, Commander. You'll not stop abuse or bribery at all. Money will change hands just like it did before. Only the greedy fingers doing the receiving will differ. Give the state too much power and the level of abuse will grow exponentially. Nationalization and despotism go hand in hand, Commander. You may think we are overreacting, but the elves have a history of such states. Be warned, for they are not always the happy-go-lucky free spirits they believe themselves to be. Very commendable of you, Commander, to realize the state is served far better by a greater freedom of its subjects than a greater control over them.
Heathen talk. That's what the elves indulge in once more. They'll want to nationalize the Church of the Seven next. But its bookkeeping is its own. No secular inspector may behold their completely correct administration. So the state becomes the puppet master and all the people its puppets. You rank yourself too highly, Commander. We are the Seven's puppets alone. Good. Calm returns to my mind. Imagine for the Church to be held accountable for its accounts. The mere idea is ridiculous. Thank the gods it was all but a fiction.